Live from Utah's Wasatch Front, the pulse of the Mountain West, where the issues that shape your life meet the truth that sets you free. Across Utah, across the Republic, and around the world, welcome. This is KMMU.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Goud Crowd. I am your host, Goud, and I am happy that you are here. Otherwise, it's kind of pointless for me to do the show. So I don't even know if that's a funny joke for you, but I'm going to tell it anyway. Okay, so first of all, it's day 20 of the federal government shutdown. How has it impacted your life? Is it really bad out there? I'll just be honest with you. If it wasn't for the news, I actually wouldn't know it. Except I am in the Guard, and I had to go in and for some planning stuff that I was working on, and it is impacting our things going forward. So it could cause delays and things like that. But oddly, this is the least newsworthy shutdown I think I've ever experienced in my entire life. And so credit to President Trump for doing it in a way that people are not panicking, and it really doesn't seem to matter. So hopefully the Democrats at some point will reopen the government. Okay, so today I actually want to talk about a few things. We'll have a call in to talk about the Riverton mayor's race. As you know, I live in Riverton. I did not know this, but I actually live on the west side of Riverton. And so we have a hot mayor's race out here, but I will say that I'm a little bit confused about how things are going for both candidates. Maybe we'll try to have them on next week because I know election day is coming up. I'm bleeding a little bit, huh? Ignore that. Okay. We have, anyway, elections going on. The things I do for you. I had to shave today. Apparently, I didn't do a good job. So anyway, what I was going to say is we have a mayor's race. We'll have an update from Tracy on that, how it's going, what are the issues on the ground. I am honestly a little bit confused based on what I'm hearing. And that makes sense, Mr. Producer and I were having a conversation beforehand about Mehdi Hassan. I think that's how you say his name. And I thought he was Indian origin. Mr. Producer thought he was, is it Cenk? Is that how you say his name? Cenk, the young Turk guy, that his nephew. But turns out he was thinking of Hassan Piker, who's also a D-bag. And then Mehdi Hassan actually is from the same city in India that my parents are from originally. Like he was actually born in England, but Mehdi is also a D-bag. So can't get past that. Okay, so what I want to talk about so we'll talk about that, but then we're also going to have a discussion about immigration, Uber drivers, and I just we'll kind of wrap this into a discussion I want to have about falling birth rates and what is the cause of it. So over the weekend, I think Mike Lee posted this. He posted a tweet saying, we need more people to have children. So let me share this with you guys. Hold on one sec. Here we go. So he posts and he says, the White House is right. America needs more babies and a higher birth rate. Now, I agree with that. And obviously, I'm actually part of the problem because there's various things that are causing the falling birth rate. One is obviously homosexuals, because we don't have children. Another is, I think, the trans agenda that has made people go crazy, become neurotic, not even be able to answer basic questions about biology. But I think another piece of this, and it's the one that people like Mike Lee actually don't really understand, is that Americans are hopeless. They are not hopeful about the future. And when people are like that, they're unlikely to have children. And I actually took his tweet because it's great. Look, I think there's broad agreement that the US has a fertility problem. And there's some studies that show actually more of the fertility problem comes from people who are liberal versus conservative, but even the conservatives are basically at replacement rate. And so if you actually want to have a naturally growing population, you want people to have babies, including your conservatives. So we need to understand better what's happened? Why have birth rates fallen so much over time? And how do you turn that around and make it so people want to have children and they want to have more than two, is what I would say. I mean, like if I'm honest about this, I used to tell my sister, you need to have more kids because you got to make up for the fact that I won't have kids. It's things like that. Like, people who will have children need to have lots of children to make up for the ones who don't have children for whatever reason. And then everybody who can't have children, we should want them to go and have children. But I think we're in kind of a silent depression. I've heard that term thrown out there, and I think that's accurate. People don't feel hopeful about their economic future. And so the end result of that is that they don't get married. They're not having children. They don't see a path forward to make that happen because the economic situation is so bad that people feel like, well, what's the point? I'm never going to be able to buy a home. Like if I get married, let's say you're a young man, and you want to get married to a woman, you want to build this life together, but you don't see it as possible because you say, well, okay, am I going to be able to buy a house? No. Am I going to be able to have a job? Well, a secure job to be able to provide for my family? No. Because if you're working class and you're in jobs where you can be trained on the job, so it could be any job, really, most jobs are probably like that. You know that at some point, the way our system is set up, we're allowing you to get replaced by immigrants. If you're in even higher skill jobs, so these jobs that pay six figures, so the tech industry, all these jobs that are supposed to have a bright future, you also know that at some point you may have to turn around and train your replacement. And so you're looking at this and you're saying to yourself, well, how do I build a future on this? What's the future for my children if I have them? Can I provide for them? Because some people will say, oh, hey, oh God, I don't know if I got the tweet, but people post things like, hey, you know what? You should just have way more kids than you can afford because it'll all work out. And I'm like, that's not a message to tell people. You're not. And what that is there's a bunch of people out there who are very wealthy. So it's like Benny Johnson. He's a big, he's a big social media guy. He has like access to the president. He makes millions of dollars a year. He's like, yeah, you should have way more kids than you can afford. You're a multimillionaire. How many kids would you have to have that you couldn't afford them? Of course you can afford them. But for the everyday average person, that's not realistic. Like I don't know anybody that's going out there and saying, you know what, I want to have so many kids that it's going to drive me into poverty and make it so I can't provide for my own children. Nobody actually wants that. And so it's on us to understand what has caused this problem. And why is it that the youth of America do not feel like they have a bright future in their own country? If you're not going to have a bright future here as an American, you will not have a bright future anywhere else because no other country in the world is going to give you any sort of preference. In fact, I would say most of the world hates our guts, not because we're bad people, but because they're irrational morons who see us as like they can just suck on us and take all of our money and get free stuff while we foot the bill. So middle and lower class Americans pay the taxes so that, you can go teach people about transgenderism in South Africa or whatever. It's the system doesn't make any sense. So I just think that's kind of where we're at right now. And like I said, this is happening at every level, because at the bottom level, meaning, and I want to be clear, I think all jobs are valuable. So I'm not saying any of this to insult anybody that has a job that someone would say is unskilled or something you could learn. But at the bottom, we've imported millions and millions and millions. We continue to do it, of legal and illegal immigrants. We've at least cut off the flow of illegal immigrants. So that's a plus. I'll take the plus. But we're still letting in millions of legal immigrants every year. They come in, and then if you find out they're doing jobs like they don't have skills, we bring in skillless people. And then they start stealing jobs from Americans. Suddenly they're doing Uber driving, for example. That's one example. Why do we need an immigrant to come here and do Uber driving? They're working in gas stations. Why do I need an immigrant to come here to work in a gas station? Right? Why can't frankly, I'd prefer to be able to go to any of these places and have an American interact with Americans. And you go across the board. It's every single type of job is being taken at those levels by foreigners. And so for those of you out there with kids, I had one of my neighbors come to my house recently, and he was talking about this. Well, Goud, I don't have a problem with the illegals who are just quiet and are just working and just want to make a living. And I said to him, well, how many kids do you have? And he said, 5. What about them? Don't you want them to be able to have a bright future? Because their opportunities are being stolen by those illegal immigrants. Their wages are being suppressed by those illegal immigrants. The number of opportunities that they will have are being reduced because of those illegal immigrants. You should be able to come out of high school in the US and get a middle-class job with no issues at all. You should just be able to get a job and be able to make a middle-class living without needing to go to college. And you should be able to do that without having to compete against foreigners for those jobs in your own country. And by the way, it's the country that's going to call you up if we end up in a war. They're going to expect you to go fight. But then when you come back, they're telling you, oh, here's a million people from Afghanistan that you just went. We lost a bunch of people there. And now we're going to go import them here. I don't know why. And you're going to have to compete with them for jobs. It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. It really bothers me too, like on an emotional level, because I don't understand what kind of a nation abandons its own people. So on the top level, you have the H-1B issue. For these skilled jobs, people making 6 figures it's constant, right? I had to train my replacements at this tech job because this tech company decided they wanted to import cheaper and more compliant labor. And the compliance piece is something that people don't fully understand. So I was having a discussion with my dad about this. And he's also seen a lot of this over, he wasn't part of this because he came in the 70s, very different times than today. And so, he has seen these. He didn't, but what he was saying to me one day is, I don't understand what you mean by it's cheaper and more compliant labor, because they still get paid 6 figures. That's a lot of these. He's like, these H-1B visas coming here, and they show up by the millions and millions. And he's like, but they're getting paid 6 figures. So like, what do you mean it's cheaper? Well, it is cheaper, number one, because they don't have to pay the payroll taxes. That's the cheaper piece. They'll also work for less. And the key piece of this, I think, is they're compliant. They will not make any sort of complaints that Americans will make when they are abused. So if you get discriminated at work, Americans are likely to speak up about it. You should speak up about it. You have every right to work in a job, not be discriminated against based on your race, based on your sexual orientation. Transgenderism, I don't agree with that. We should be able to discriminate based on that. As I've said before, a little bit different, but there are all these reasons why you should be able to go to work, make a living, and not be discriminated against. And if you are, you should be able to speak up. But the thing is, and I've seen this in Indian culture, Indians who immigrate are extremely compliant. They will not speak up. They will not fight a system. They will not ever unionize. They will not do all the difficult things that Americans do. And so big companies love that type of labor. It's essentially like indentured servants. So, that's a problem, and it hurts Americans. And by the way, Mike Lee has been a big proponent of H-1Bs, the H-1B visa system for years and years and years, for years. And he did it, I think, at the behest of his big donors. And one of his big initiatives was to get rid of the country caps. So there's these country caps in place that mean that India, for example, can't be 100% of the H-1B visas in a certain year. They have to be doled out to different countries. Now, look, my view is we should cancel the H-1B program. It's garbage. It's full of fraud. There are reports that there are Indians who have come and are doing 4 or 5 jobs. Actually, my dad read that recently. He was like, this is why they come here. He's like, they show up in San Diego. And if anyone knows anything about San Diego, the housing is super expensive, right? My parents live in a regular middle-class home. I mean, my house is multiple times bigger than their home on a average lot for the time, whatever. And it was like, my mom said their house now, it's fallen a little bit. It's worth like $1.3 million, but it's nothing. You wouldn't look at it and say, oh, that person, that's a rich house. It's just a regular middle-class house. But my dad was like, they're showing up here, and then within a year, they're buying a house. But then there was reports coming out that they're doing 4, 5, 6 jobs of these H-1B visa jobs at the same time, just by multitasking. But also, there's a lot of fraud that's been built into the system. So we should cancel the program. But Mike Lee's been a big proponent of it. And I actually think it's partly because he's a product of nepotism himself. So he doesn't understand what it means to actually have to go out there and compete and try to get a job and try to make a living. I just don't think he understands it. He's never had to actually do it. And on top of that, it's the biggest proponents of open borders, letting everybody, right? Oh, we need millions of people. We need to grow our population by immigration. They tend to be people that are in protected industries. And so you'll always see the top people promoting open borders are lawyers, because not anybody can become a lawyer. You have to be barred or licensed in the state to be a lawyer. And typically you can't do that if you're an illegal. Doctors, again, protected industry, and government workers, because government workers will never have to compete against illegal aliens for jobs. So of course, they're all for open borders, bringing them all in. Let's bring them all in. Okay, we're gonna switch topics for a few minutes and then we'll come back. Mr. Producer, you can put her through. We have Tracy to give us an update on the Riverton's mayor race. This is a hot race because, after years and years of Trent Staggs, we're going to be replacing him, and I think people are very intrigued. Hey, Tracy, how are you?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Hey, Tracy, how are you doing today? Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm good. I was enjoying your conversation, so I was looking forward to listen to it further, because I think most people don't understand that Utah is putting foreigners into government. I mean, if you look at Governor Cox's his international, he's looking for talent, and they're all foreign, every one of them. They put them through at the U too. They work at the U. It's total espionage, but hopefully somebody comes in. But yeah, the Riverton race is getting wild. I don't know if you've been online and saw any of the activity, but Dan's having a complete meltdown because he knows she's going to lose, and he almost makes it worse for her because he's very combative. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so first of all, I think life is driving. Adam is saying, I was just in Riverton. We saw lots in capitals of Tawny McKay signs. So what are you seeing on the ground in terms of momentum, where this race is headed between the two candidates?
I think they're grasping at straws because they first of all, they're getting endorsements from not by the residents. It's by like Chris Knowles, the old Republican Party chair, but that's because they were trying to get the party to endorse her. And I said, no, you can't. It's who's more Republican than who's the most Republican? I'll tell you, it's not Tiny, and it's not Dan. He's passed some terrible bills, but it's really getting like a nasty taste to it, I think, because it's making the party look bad, because he went ahead and did it, even though I was able to stop it at the county party level, because I'm like, you can't do that. That is only a PAC can endorse outside the convention, and you're not a PAC. And and an executive committee. How does an executive committee know better than their own residents? Like the Republican Party was was seeking to try to help the loser out of the primary. It's like got her. She lost like 30. She only got 30%, and you're trying to boost her. It's not going to help. The people there know the best. All it's revealing is that the establishment is in the party and who they are.
Yeah.
So
hold on.
I think it's actually working against them.
Interesting. Okay, so first of all, just in case people don't know, we've got two candidates running for mayor. It's Tawny McKay and Tish Baroker. They are both currently city council members. And I will say it strikes me as a hot race. I've gotten tons of mailers, tons of flyers on my door. Sadly, I don't think I've been home when anyone has come by, so it's kind of sad. But what are you seeing as the big issues in the race? Like, what are you hearing from people in terms of what are they looking for? What are those kind of distinguishing issues between the two candidates? Maybe name one or two.
Anyone but McKay. That's all I hear. Anyone but McKay.
Oh,
and
okay.
If you notice that, the mayor and the entire council came out against and endorsed Tish Baroker. Right there, if she were to be mayor, she would get nothing done. She can't get along with the council. That's the entire council. So what does she expect? You want somebody that is going to get along with them.
Okay, I'm confused about that, actually, the endorsement piece, because Andy Perucci, I've got flyers from each of them in front of me, and Andy Perucci actually shows up on both flyers. And people know Andy Perucci is a city council member here. So, but go ahead. Have you heard about this at all?
According to Claude Wells, he said that she never got their, and they got their permission. She just put it on there. I don't know how true that is. I just saw that on a post that said, hey, she never got that. And to me, I could actually kind of see that happening. I think Tawny's, you can tell who kind of designed her flyer. It's Dan. It's got Dan written all over it because it's rude. Like I think that's you know, I really do, because if you know the people here, they're very good people, and they don't like that. They don't like that abrasive, mean, like I'm a Republican. Who says? To me, a terrible Republican. You don't listen to the people. I just think they've angered too many people in Riverton. I think it's going to be a huge win for Tish Baroker. And I do think she's the best candidate because she'll listen. She'll listen to the people, and she has the only reason why she's running is because she loves Riverton. She's lived here her entire life. And the absurdity about the parks on that flyer that say she doesn't want to sell off the parks or whatever. Tawny's the developer. Like, that to me would be a thought she had, not Tish. Why would Tish do that? She's all about open space, and she loves the river walks or whatever. But that's what I'm hearing. I mean, I'm even getting texts when people see like the party people endorsing Tawny and saying, "What the heck is wrong with this person?" And I'm like, it's just revealing who they are. So
okay. To that point, I've actually seen, I haven't, I think a lot of the conversations happening on Facebook, and so I'm not on there as much, but I was looking at something, and it looked like it was kind of devolving into litmus tests about who's more Republican. So like they're talking about abortion, gun rights, and some of these other, and look, I'm not discounting that those can be litmus tests to kind of suss people out, right? But what kind of an impact do you see that having on the race?
What does the city do? I don't think it's having any, because, you know, the whole abortion thing that Tawny brought, that was like grandstanding and being obnoxious, because you can't do anything with it. What did it do? It just divided. It just pissed off the other side. So why would you do that? You don't want your city divided. There's no partisan decisions of this, except, hey, we don't want illegals here. But even to that, I think Tish would be more of a person that would say, let's not do this after she heard some reasoning. You won't get anything out of the McKays. The McKays do not listen. It's their way. And so that's the ground level I'm hearing. The rumblings is like, no, it's anybody but McKay. So
okay, that's interesting because she has gotten some endorsements that strike me as a little bit more significant. For example, the University of Utah College Republicans endorsed her, and they actually it turns out they're a little bit of a ground force, right? They went door to door and left flyers on everyone's doors.
I don't think it's going to help. I don't. And
okay.
She's only getting those endorsements because of Dan. Dan's pushing it and pushing the political parties. It's really caused a problem in our county party because I stopped it and Mike Carey is ticked at me. Like, he is so mad. He's trying to throw us off out of the party. Like, right now,
okay, hold on. Just so everybody knows, Mike Carey is the Salt Lake County GOP chair. Okay, but go ahead, Tracy, just so people understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, we sent them a letter, and they said, don't endorse because we can't do that as a PAC. You'll get us disqualified as a party. And they didn't listen. They did. Sarah was great. She did reduce the liability to the party because she said, let's not endorse it as a Republican versus a Republican. And so they didn't get Riverton's endorsement. But then they went to Sandy City. And Sandy City, the Republican in that one, she's for 15-minute cities. That's the guy that's pushing the 15-minute city stuff, is her manager. And who's pushing her so hard. So I'm like, is she Republican? Like, is she really? But
well, okay, but that's my point. But that's my point about kind of these litmus tests, right? Because a lot of times these people that run for city positions, that's your bench that's going to end up running for something higher at some point. And so trying to suss out people who are just Democrats using the Republican name to forward themselves is I think, what those litmus tests kind of get to. Yeah, but
we're the uniparty. And as long as if it's unconstitutional, it'd be done. But so I sent a notice of, it was election interference because they were going to endorse her. Because you can only endorse in a city if they choose to nominate their candidates through convention process. That's the only way the party can endorse. And the law doesn't say, if you want to change the law, then change it. Then go change it and make it so it's convention and done that way and it's bipartisan. But just because you got a heavy-handed senator who's hammering the Salt Lake County GOP, you endorse my wife, you endorse my wife, you endorse my candidate. Like, how's that even good? It's disgusting. His even comment about I'll step down. It's like bribery. I won't run again if you vote for Tony. That's bribery.
Yeah, on that, Adam said Dan said he wouldn't run again. As life is driving for people that are listening, Dan said he wouldn't run again if Tawny wins. Riverton needs to take the L and make the sacrifice. How do you respond to that, Tracy?
Funny.
How do you respond to that?
What did you say?
That might be compelling to some people.
Oh, no. It's integrity over. He's not going to win anyways. Once she loses, he knows he's done. He sees the writing on the wall. That wasn't anything great. That was just a bribe. And so, no, you don't vote because, oh, yay, we'll get rid of him. He'll be running your city. Who do you think's running her campaign right now? Like, he's commenting for her. He's running it. So, no, I don't want Dan McKay over my city.
Okay. Okay. Well, any closing? I'll say this. I did not realize that I am actually on the west side of Riverton. I got a flyer saying that the west side matters. If you can see that from anyway.
Yeah, we're the bad people. We're west of Bader, so we're poor, not counted on.
That's funny. I was like, I didn't even think about that. Anyway, any closing thoughts? I know we have a couple weeks here. I might reach out to the candidates and see if they'll come on next week, just to talk about why people should vote for them and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I hope everybody votes for Tish Baroker. She's a better candidate. She cares about Riverton. She's not in this for any self-serving purposes, and I think she would do well. Plus, you have a really supportive city council too. So I think it'll be good.
Okay. Thanks for calling in. We will talk to you next time.
Thanks, Goud. Okay. Bye-bye.
Yep. If there's anyone out there who is supporting Tawny, you are welcome to call in too. I am neutral. So I'm happy to answer, have people talk about both candidates, either candidate. Your thoughts on the race? Like I said, I think it's an important one because Riverton tends to be kind of a center of Republicanism in Salt Lake County. Okay, so now we're going to have David Chadwick on, but let me just play one thing before we bring him on so that this makes sense. I want to set this up for you. So, there is this issue about illegal alien Uber drivers. ICE has started raiding, or at least they're doing it in Chicago. And I don't think this is ICE. I actually think it's Customs and Border Protection. So let me play this video for you.
At Chicago O'Hare's, did you guys see they just did an ICE raid at Chicago O'Hare's rideshare parking lot? As an American, you can't even get gig work anymore. Think about it. You have to compete to be able to drive around other people, or you have to compete to drop off people's food. Mm-hmm. So they did an ICE raid at the Chicago O'Hare parking lot, and they said it was at least 50 to 60 cars out there. And when they were done, there was only 15.
Isn't that crazy?
And they're saying that they're not suppressing our wages, right? So let me get this straight.
He gets it.
They're not suppressing the wages, but you have to compete with more than double the amount of people who were supposed to be here. And that's not even counting that you're probably going to get less per ride because there's so many people willing to do the job. Of course they're willing to do it, dude. They're getting assistance. They're not having to pay for a car. They're barely having to pay for rent. Yeah, they can take less wage per ride.
Crazy.
So to sit here and say that it's not being suppressed, it's not real. That's like when they said tariffs, we're going to ruin the economy. They're going to increase the price of everything. And then just nothing happened. People who have no understanding of basic economics are out here talking every day on the news, telling us how bad it's going to be. Open your eyes, you guys. It's going to be fine.
Okay. Just before I bring him on, I'll just say that guy captured it great, and it kind of shows you how, again, mass deportations, canceling the H-1B program, massive immigration reductions across the board, I would say to zero, are pro-America, pro-American, and they will win you elections. Okay, let's bring on Dave. Okay. Hey, how are you, Dave?
What's up, man? How you been?
Good. Thank you for coming on
all right?
today. Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Awesome.
Okay, I will let you know if Mr. Producer tells me we got to fix anything.
Okay. Oh, Mr. Producer, whoever you are, Disagree Butter told me to tell you hello. I don't know if that means anything. We're in the small group.
Maybe you'll be able to see the messages popping. Okay, so here's kind of tell us a little bit about your background to start. I know the basics: author, veteran, which I love, and that you drive Uber. But tell us a little bit about you so people kind of understand where you're coming from.
Okay, well, yeah, you covered basically most of it. I was in, I grew up here in Utah. I spent a little bit of time in Israel growing up, but it was mostly here. I joined the Army when I was 17 for the reserves for a couple of years, and then I went active duty, regular Army for 10 years from 2000 to 2010. And I've been doing, I went out, got a couple of degrees in graphic design, and that didn't quite work out for me. So, it's my own fault. So
Yeah.
I did a few jobs, and eventually I decided, you know what, I'm going to take my earning power into my own hands, and I'm going to go and give this Uber thing a try. And when I
Yeah.
first started, man, it was like very empowering. I was making a lot of money, spending a lot in gas, but I was keeping a lot and making a lot more than what I usually did than I made from working day jobs or night jobs, as it were, from employers
Yeah.
and writing my books on my little novels on the side.
Yeah.
So like, not to get too deep into it, I was making upwards of $4,800 a month, something like that. Don't quote me on that because I don't need the lieutenant governor sending the IRS after me. But
Hopefully she doesn't do
I
that.
don't think she does either.
Let me just ask you a question about that.
I'm just kidding you, Deeds. It's fine.
Talk about
so
when did you start doing Uber? So like,
I actually started. I was originally an Uber Eats driver around 2018, and that I was like one of the very first ones to do it in the entire state of Utah. And back then, it was not enough to make it a full-time gig. But in 2023, I'd had a night job I'd had for a few years, and I said, you know what, I'm not going anywhere in this job. So I'm going to go ahead and give driving a shot. And I've been doing that for full time for 2 years since June of 2023. And at that time, in June of 2023 to, I would say, the beginning of 2025, I was making between $210 and $350 a day.
wow.
I would, for a long time now, the reason this is a big deal, airport rides are a big deal in rideshare driving. That's where I would say most of my big rides came from. I'll do rides around town. I'll go wherever the rides take me. But the big dollar ones, the ones that you want to get, were the reservation airport rides. And for a long time, I would get up. I live up here in Weber County, but I would get up. Somehow the algorithm put me in Park City, and there's a lot of rich people in Park City, and
Yes,
if you get it, I was complaining because I had to get up at like 3 o'clock in the morning to be there at 5 to take them to the airport. But that would net me like just in that like couple of hours it would take for me to get to Park City, pick them up, and go to the airport. I'd make more than half of what I would have to make in a day to make my livelihood. So it was a big deal, and that sustained me for a long time. And I really enjoyed this job. But in 2025, you really got to understand how the model changed this year. In September of 2024, I got an email saying this car that I'm in right now would no longer qualify for comfort rides. Now, the comfort ride is people pay extra for that to come and pick you up and then tip you and all that. And that's what would make a $25, $30, $40 ride more like somewhere up $70, $80 at the end of the day if they tip well. So it was I got an email saying that they were taking that option away from me, and I was like, well, this is not gonna work anymore, or I'm just gonna have to like take more in-town rides. So I just thought that was going to be like I'm just gonna have to alter the way that I do things. But this year I noticed in January of 2025, on the 15th of January, when they said that went away, the model in Utah drastically changed. to where rides in town that were once, and I'm not going to give anybody's away private information or anything like that, but I
We don't
have
want it.
repeat customers in
Yeah.
and around town, and rides that I know for a fact were $8-9 before are now less than $5. And not only did they take my comfort and reservation, that they took reservation extra pay away, so they took away the two things that made reservations worth it. But a ride from an airport ride from Ogden, from let's just say the home to on 24th and Lincoln in Ogden to the airport used to be $45 in the morning, no questions. Now it is less than 20. And
Oh, wow. Okay.
so right away the earnings are like dramatically reduced. And another thing you have to factor into all this, and we're going to get to the airport, like what's going on at the airport rideshare area. It all ties in.
Okay.
For a while, they were trying to get drivers. They're trying to get drivers to get into rentals. So but the thing is, the rentals, that way, like their partners could make more money. But the thing is, you have to pay the rental cost.
Yeah.
So they were pushing everybody to get into rentals and not use their own cars. But the rentals are $300 a week.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
that doesn't make any kind of financial sense. If you're doing this full time, you need to be doing it. You can't be paying someone else. I would meet riders who would, not riders, but drivers who would say, it's be like, yeah, it's like, I make this much amount and I'm paying $500 for Teslas. People pay $500 a week to rent a Tesla because that's what Uber and Lyft are pushing. They'll pay $500 a week and they'll act like they're getting this great bargain. And everything I make after that is mine. It's just like, bro, you might as well just get a car payment, because that's
insane.
You are paying Uber, like you are paying Uber to work for them. This is not working out for you.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, and now not only did the earnings model change drastically, we're also going
before you move on,
less.
let me just ask you a question.
What's that?
So let me ask you a question before you move on here. So you said originally it was $45 from that location in Ogden down to the airport, and now it's 20. How much is a driver making out of that?
No, that's what I get. That's what I get.
Oh,
I know that,
you're getting, okay. So the rider's paying more, but your share has dropped.
Yeah. So, I know for a fact, I think the question you're asking is like, what's the percentage that drivers get as opposed to what Uber gets? It used to be 60-40 or close to 50. Now there's a very famous name in Utah who I happen to know personally. I'm not going to say who it is, but if I told you who it was, you would know who it is, and you would think, wow. But I talked to him, and he drove Uber for a little bit to supplement his income. And he and I were talking about it. And he said that he took a ride from Tooele to Salt Lake. And he was just talking with these guys, and they seemed very personable. So he just asked them, like, hey, how much are you guys paying for this? So the ride from Tooele to Salt Lake, he was getting $25. They said the ride from there to there was like over $100. So,
oh my God. Okay.
So riders are paying more and drivers are getting paid less in 2025. Sure. Like this is not disputable.
I've heard this from other people. I know you saw a post I did about it. I was in San Diego, and maybe Uber will cancel my account. I don't really care, and I called the driver. He came, and he actually, when I was getting in the car, he was like, "Hey, can you cancel the ride?
Yes.
Tell me the cost. I will charge you $10 less to go." And then we had a whole conversation about this. I did what he asked because I was like, I don't really care, but and he actually talked about how what you're saying, that the rates had dropped so much, it's not worth it anymore. But if he goes and he tells people, and I don't know how long this will last, but if he has people cancel it, then he can actually get more money out of the ride.
Yeah. My general policy on that is that when and this is just a little aside, but when people say that they're going to pay me more to do something with them offline, I always tell them no, because it seems to me like that's a fast way to get murdered. So I don't do anything off the books. So I'll be like, hey, do you want to go pick me up at 3 a.m? No.
So okay, well, so if you find me dead on the side of the road,
I want there to be a record of this pickup and drop off in case I ever go missing.
Fair point.
So the other thing that changed in the model was how Uber sends you rides, or how they send you. They used to just send it to you, and if you liked it and it was enough, you'd be like, okay, click accept. I will take that, and you just follow the rides. And sometimes, like, I did rides all over the place. Like, there were days when I would do Ogden, Salt Lake, Provo, even Park City. There was one day I drove back and forth into Park City 4 times. I don't care. I will go anywhere. I've gone to Wendover. I've gone to Evanston. I will take you anywhere you want to go.
Okay.
But they changed the way. Now there's this mechanism in the Uber app called Trip Radar that used to be like, hey, if there's something that's way out of your way, do you want to drive like 10, 15 minutes or 20 minutes, let's say from Ogden into Syracuse, to go pick up somebody at the Syracuse Walmart who's been waiting for a long time? Do you want to do that? And you can either say yes or no based on, if they've been waiting a while and stuff like that. And usually it's a little bit more if you pick up something up from Trip Radar. Now on Trip Radar, everything is filtered through Trip Radar, and you have to compete for like $4 rides with like 20 different like whoever is out there right now. So I don't have proof of this, but it seems to me that the way that they were pushing people to get into rentals, and they know that and they know if you're in a rental or not, it's in there on the app, is that I have to believe that the way that they were pushing everybody to get into rentals in 2023 and 2024 is that they're favoring those people, because you don't get anything coming through naturally anymore. Everything comes through Trip Radar. So it seems to me that they are filing everything through Trip Radar. Now, who are the people that are generally rentals? Now, I know they happen to be immigrant non-Americans that come in and they say, hey, I have a driver's license, but the state of Utah has granted illegal immigrants to have driver's license. We were the first state in the union to do that.
Yes.
But so you can come to Utah. There was a study that was released recently. Heidi Hatch reported on it, that Salt Lake City in Utah is the number 3 destination behind Florida, behind like 2 cities in Florida or something like that, for illegal immigrants to come to.
Yep.
And I happen to know for a fact that all these rentals are going to illegals, was because that the rideshare area, not the pickup area, we'll get to that later, the rideshare wait area, which is on North Temple. You know how you get on the airport, you go on East 80 and there's like a little exit that takes you on to North Temple. That's where this little shady rideshare area is. After you drop somebody off at the airport, if you don't get another ride coming out of the airport, it's the app will, if you don't log off, the app will attempt to guide you towards the airport wait area, so you can go waste an hour of your life and not make anything, to go hang out there and wait for another airport ride, to like go pick somebody up and take them to wherever. I generally wouldn't do that. What I would do is I would log off, and I would either go to the Maverick down there by Amazon, or just drive into the city and just pick up more rides, because there's more. If you want to do this full time, you have to do it smart. So I would just go into the city, or come back up here to Weber County, and then just do chill Ogden rides. Or if I wanted to go to Park City, if I didn't get a ride that came out of the airport, I would generally treat it as like a reset. And if I wanted to go to a different area, that's when I would do it. But
Okay.
A few times I did end up going to the rideshare area. And let me tell you something about that rideshare area. It is full of rentals and it is full of illegals. I'm going to say this nicely. I knew that I was the only American in that rideshare area. There are hundreds of cars in this puny little fenced-in area down there on North Temple.
Okay.
And it is full of illegals. None of them speak English. And they're all just hanging out there. If ICE went down there to raid, the exact same thing would happen as what happened in Chicago, only every car would be gone. There would be no drivers there to pick up anybody from the airport.
Wow.
I saw it with my eyes. And the reason I know this for a fact is because I got into I don't want to say, someone said that I struck their vehicle. I did not. But he decided he wanted to get a picture of my license plate. And I was talking to him. Dude didn't speak English. None of his friends spoke English. But it ended up being nothing. But none of these people spoke English there. They were all clearly not Americans. And if you go to the rideshare pickup area at the airport, now that area is just a mess. I don't know if anybody's taken an Uber out of the Salt Lake airport, but if you get a ride that to leave, and if it's during like a heavy period, like just trying to pick up your ride, because there are like a lot of illegal immigrants in rentals. I could tell which ones are the rentals.
How can we tell which ones are the rentals? Are they just newer cars?
Well, they're newer cars, but they also have like the Uber sticker in front and also in the back. They have a very, like, if you're in this business at any amount of time, you can like see like the telltale signs. Like if someone like owns their own car, they'll generally have like, you can go on Amazon and get these ridiculous, stupid light up Uber signs. So if you're like, if you see one of those, like, that's a full-time guy right there. People who are like really invested in this, but those guys are all going away. And whenever I talk about this on Twitter, I get tons of people in my reply saying, it's like, yeah, I try to get rides in the morning to go home from work. I live in Riverdale. I live in wherever. And I don't ever get anybody who can talk to me. It's like at 5, it's like, well, I'm in this area at 5 in the morning and I have to compete with 100 other drivers for these $4 rides that used to be 10 and 15.
Okay.
So, so who are the people that need that have driver's license, don't own their own cars, but that are willing to work for less wages? My opinion is, the way I'm seeing it is that these rideshare companies are weeding out the people who will not put up with it and who can't afford the high maintenance costs, which is killing me. It's killing me now. I make less than half of what I used to. Like I have to find something else because this is not working out.
Okay. So that confirms what I was thinking about this. But your point about that rideshare parking lot makes me wonder if you even need ICE, or the Salt Lake City airport, it seems like, could send over, or Highway Patrol could go there and be like, okay, we want to see everyone's immigration to make sure that you're here legally if you're going to drive into the airport and pick people up. I
would highly doubt Spencer Cox would allow such an action.
Well,
but that's just me.
True.
because all these fresh perspectives are getting they're employing all his tech buddies and everything like that. So like, sure, they could. Will they? I don't think so.
Okay. This is interesting. Let me ask you this. When you think about this from an electoral perspective, right?
Right.
If Republicans were to handle this issue, so let's say crack down on the ability of Uber, Lyft, every employer to be able to hire illegals, would that make you more likely to go out and support them versus like right now? I think Trump's doing a lot, but I feel like there's more that we could do to completely handle this problem.
100%. And I'll to answer your question, yes. From the perspective of as an Uber driver in 2023 and in 2024, and you could kind of see this coming. I know that one candidate for governor was for mass deportations, and the other one was not. And one was Phil Lyman, the other was Spencer Cox, and I supported Phil Lyman. So yes, 100%. That's kind of what I'm generally known for now, is that I was trying to build an audience for my goofy little comedy novels, dark satire novels, but I ended up becoming a Phil Lyman hype man, which is fine. I'm cool with it. But because he's who I felt at the time and still do is who Utah needed as governor.
Okay.
But now that we're past all that, it's disappointing to me to see. I know Donald Trump's done a lot, but it's disappointing to me to see him kind of like wave versus like, oh, we're going to give exceptions to like the hotels and like the farms and all this. It's like, no, everyone.
Yep.
Sorry. Like if you're here illegally, you need to go. That's what mass deportations means. It's like you're taking jobs. Like my job, I'm being pushed out of my job. I'm being pushed out of this
Right.
is essentially my small business is what I'm sitting in right now, and I'm being pushed out of it. And people like someone who I used to like a lot, but for a lot of different reasons now I don't, and it was just sealed that like, okay, I don't need you anymore, is Marjorie Taylor Greene, who went on some host and says, be like, as a construction owner, like we need to have a serious talk about labor, and that just means more than deporting everybody. I'm gonna get flat pushback on that. It's like, no, like she just completely reveals herself to be part of the swamp. Like oh, like you're showing us who you are. So
that's like the most critically that's like the most critical issue I could think of, right? These are stealing
that's what
quality of jobs from Americans, and you're like, oh, I need cheap labor. Well, I don't, but I'm not going to vote for you.
Here's the thing about making America great again and America first is that when you put America first, you have to put Americans first.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter like if like what dash Americans you are. If you have Americans there, that's who needs to be first. Not, like not illegals for like not construction companies first, not tech companies first, not any of these people first, Americans first.
Yeah.
Like, so like I'm a veteran and I did 2 tours in Iraq, and the fact that I'm now getting pushed out of my job in favor of illegals, like I resent it, I do. And like, I'm not a best-selling author. I mean, I do realize that I'm going to have to supplement if I want to keep doing this. I'm going to have to supplement my income somehow, and unless I magically become best-selling somehow, and I'm okay with it. But at the same time, I'm going to need these opportunities because, like, I'm going to need. I don't want to say I'm unskilled because I do have skill sets, but those.
Oh, I think we lost him. Okay. When he comes back, Melanie, to your point, I will have him mention his books. Call back in, Dave. I don't know. Oh, is he back?
No, it's me. He completely lost his connection. So.
Oh.
See if you can get him back. Well, that was good.
Yeah. Okay, let's see if he'll come back on. What I was going to say is I do think it's crazy that he's a veteran and that's how we treat him. And by the way, that story is a common story of destroying our own people so that foreigners can come here and take all our jobs and destroy our culture. And to his point, this isn't about any sort of race issue, right? A lot of the left likes to turn it into a race issue. Oh, that means you're racist. No, even he just said it. We're talking about Americans of all races. This is our country. We have a right to get preference in our own country when it comes to jobs, when it comes to opportunities, when it comes to buying a home, having a business, being able to provide for yourself. All that he is asking for is the ability to follow his passion while also being able to make a living. I actually don't have a problem with that. We are the world's richest country. We should be able to have people that are able to make a living, but also able to find their passion without having to be on welfare benefits. So what he's doing is phenomenal. hopefully he'll call back in. We'll let him plug his book. I would like to hear more about that. And then, get out there and support him. He's also on X. Oh, I think maybe he's coming. Let's see. I heard a ding on my thing. I think he's back. Okay, hold on. Let me bring you back on. Hold on. Yeah, you're back. Okay.
Did you see
we
me?
lost you for a second.
Yeah, sorry about that. My phone overheated. I just had to take it out of my car. So.
It's okay. You're good.
But
okay.
yeah, so I mean, that's it, man. I mean, that's the deal. American rideshare drivers. My opinion, it looks like to me, we are getting pushed out in favor of people who will work for less for the reasons that I laid out.
Okay. Well, we appreciate your insights. I did want to give you a chance, so you can take 30 seconds and plug yourself.
Oh yeah. So the best, I know a lot of people ask what's the best way to support. I mean, I don't want to go back out. I mean, I will if I have to, but I don't want to have to go back out and do Uber again. So what I do is I write these sort of dark humor. They're not for everybody. They have a lot of cursing and kind of some offbeat humor. But they are. I brought them here. These are my books here. This one's real fast. This one's Monkey. It's about a wish-granting monkey who talks and smokes. It's very funny. This is Spaghetti and Meatballs. It's about a cannibal clown. It started off. He started off as a fat guy who needed to lose weight. He made a deal with the evil clown. Evil clown fed him a enchanted plate of spaghetti and meatballs, and he lost all the weight. But then now he only has a taste for human flesh. So there's this one.
Oh.
Here's Nostalgia Inc. This one's about magic tattoos and art forgery. It's way too into for me to get into here, but it has a pretty lady on it. So everybody go ahead and get that one. And this one is Last Exit to Tumbleweed. It's one that came out just the other day. It's about aliens abducting vampires. So in Texas. So there's that one.
Okay.
So they're very goofy, very funny. They're very unique. I'll put it that way. There's nothing out there quite like them. I enjoy writing them, and I would very much like to have people to talk to about them if that's the kind of thing you're into.
Which book do you recommend people start with?
I would say start. I mean, I have 3 other ones that I wrote in my 20s, but I think these 4 are the ones that I want people to start with because I've evolved and improved as a writer so much since then. I would say start with Monkey because I think that's probably my best one. And then after that is if you're really into like body horror and like a little bit of historical fiction, I would say after that go with Spaghetti and Meatballs. If you're into like noir kind of crime stuff with a little bit of dark urban fantasy, that's Nostalgia Inc. And if you're into just like full-blown goofy vampires and aliens and UFOs and that kind of thing, Last Exit to Tumbleweed is the one for you. But I would say definitely start off with Monkey. And then after that, just choose whatever your flavor is.
Okay. And where can people buy them?
You can get them on Amazon. They're $5 on the Kindle.
Okay. You got a positive. Actually, Disagree Butter said, sorry, Liz. Disagree Butter said, start with Monkey. I laughed out loud a couple of times with that one. So
yeah.
You're getting a positive,
thanks, Butters. I appreciate you. He's a good guy. I like him a lot.
Okay. And then where can people follow you?
I'm at D Chadwick Author on X. Most people listening to this probably follow me on X. I'm on Amazon and I'm on Audible. So just search Dave Chadwick on Audible and I'll pop right up if you're into audiobooks. One of my narrators is General Hospital star Haley Polis, Hollywood starlet. She's a very nice girl. So get that might help her out a lot too.
Okay. Well, hey, thanks for calling in. We appreciate it. And
I appreciate
maybe we'll have you.
I appreciate you too. You're doing a lot of good work for this state, man. Keep it up. I admire you a lot.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Dave. Okay. Well, hey, I learned a lot. I hope that was helpful to people about Uber. Let's talk first of all, support him. I do think what he's doing, that's really good stuff. People should be able to follow their passion. And be able to make a living, like I said earlier. I think it's ridiculous that we're pushing out Americans from job. We're allowing the people in power to push Americans out of jobs and to allow illegal aliens to take them from us. And by the way, this is like a broad-based problem, especially in Utah, where the elected officials actually encourage their big employers or the big donors to openly and flagrantly hire illegal aliens. And they had a hearing last session where they were trying to reduce the threshold for using the what's it called? The ID, the system to verify your ID. Sorry, the name is slipping my mind. But anyway, right now it's set at 150. They increased that threshold in 2020 or 2021. The legislature did. So that was in order to allow their donors to hire illegal aliens. So when they were trying to reduce the threshold back in 2025's legislative session, there were people that openly were talking about how this will cause a labor shortage because they apparently hire illegal aliens. That should be offensive to you. And E-Verify, thank you, E-Verify. I'm talking about the E-Verify system. Now, for those of you out there who have this soft place for people that run across the border or fly into the country and claim a quote unquote asylum, this is what I'm going to say to you. You should be looking at your own children and thinking about how are they going to fare in a nation where they are forced to compete with foreigners for jobs. And those foreigners a lot of times will be given preference over them. And do you really think that's fair to your own sons and daughters, the ones who will be called up to go and fight in wars if and when they happen? Because they apparently constantly, our leaders are constantly getting us involved in wars that we don't need to be in. And if you're okay with that, I actually think you might be part of the problem, because you're sacrificing your own children's future for people that don't even probably like you. So, because a lot of these people come in here and they actually hate the US anyway. I have no idea how we have gone so sideways on immigration and what its purpose is. And I would say at this point, it serves no positive purpose for Americans. There were times where it served a positive purpose when they're trying to settle the country. Maybe, I don't even know, to be honest with you, maybe in the 70s, it served a purpose. I don't actually know what the purpose was. Certainly, I'm a product of it. I'm happy that I was born here. But at this point in time, we've got way too many immigrants in the country, both legal and illegal. So you have, like 40 to 50 million illegal immigrants. You have some number of legal immigrants. I would guess it's similar, which means that something like a third, 30 to 40% of the population is probably immigrants. I don't even know how you keep a culture when you have that many people that aren't even from here originally coming in. Like, how do you assimilate? How do you assimilate that many people? You don't. And so, the result is we have Ilhan Omar, who is like an Islamist now. And then we have this guy. Let me show you. This actually made me mad yesterday. This Mehdi Hassan. So I thought this was interesting, but this guy actually posted. So Mehdi Hassan is a American-hating Muslim. In this case, he's Muslim. And first, he was actually allowed to become a citizen. And I don't understand why. Like, how did he become a citizen? He clearly hates the country. Who let him become a citizen? Because they should be fired from their job. But it turns out this guy posted yesterday saying that, and I don't know how he knows this. This is something that there's something left. There's some questions I have here, but he said Mehdi Hassan requested to waive a portion of the oath when he became a citizen, and specifically he waived the part that says, "And all laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I will bear arms on behalf of the United States when required by the law, that I will perform non-combatant service in the armed forces of the United States when required by law, that I will perform work of national importance under civilian direction when required by law." So the full oath is, I hereby declare on oath that I will absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty, of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen. that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America and allegiance to the same. Sorry about that. That I will that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I will bear arms on behalf of the United States when required by the law. That I will perform non-combatant service in the armed forces of the United States when required by law. That I will perform work of national importance under civilian direction when required by the law, and that I will take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, so help me God. Okay, so they're allowing people to take out portions of the citizenship oath when they become naturalized citizens. I don't even understand in what world we are allowing people to do that. You're not entitled to become a citizen of the United States. You're just not. And so if you're not able to take this oath, you should not be allowed to become a citizen. That's it. Bottom line. I don't care if you have, I have an objection to this. Okay, get out. You're not entitled to be an American. You weren't an American to begin with. We were nice enough to let you come to our country, and now you're going to tell us you don't want to take the oath to become a citizen? No, that doesn't work for me. So I did some research on this, and it turns out, I'm sure some of you are going to be shocked by this, the Obama administration is actually the one responsible for allowing these changes to the oath, the citizenship oath. And they did this during his administration because their goal was to increase or to naturalize as many people as possible. At the time, they said it was 43 million legal immigrants were in the US that had not been naturalized. So that's like 2015, I think is 2014, I think is when the policy changed. So around that time, just imagine how much higher it is now. So she said the Cecilia Munoz was Obama's, the White House's domestic policy council. She was on the White House Domestic Policy Council. And she said in an April 14th press call that the U.S. hopes to naturalize as many as possible of the more than 41 million foreign-born residents in the United States. And the modifications that they're allowed to do different modifications. Let me pull this up. I have the modification thing because right now I feel like this isn't being clear. So here, let me pull this up for you. When you see this, you're going to be kind of shocked. But part of what they're allowing you to modify, where'd that go? Here, okay. Okay, sorry, I got this up. Okay, so for example, you can modify and take out that you're willing to bear arms based on a religious objection, by the way, that you will bear arms on behalf of the United States if required by law, and that you'll perform non-combatant service in the U.S. Armed Forces when required by law. So a foreigner immigrates to the U.S., then wants to become a citizen, but then we're going to say, oh, you object to having to serve in our armed forces if required by law, and so now you don't have to, we'll take that out of the oath for you. What are we doing? Why would I want that person to even become a citizen? I don't even want that person to be here. Like, get out. If you don't care enough about the United States of America to be willing, it's like theoretical, to be willing to serve in the armed forces so that you can protect our nation, protect our Constitution, protect our way of life, why would I want you to become a citizen of the country? How about we just say, no, you're not going to become a citizen. No, we're not doing any sort of modifications to this oath. Take the oath as it is. And if you're not willing to fight in our military because you have an objection, we don't want you here. Get out. We already import all sorts of people that come here on these who were, let me put it this way, who were unwilling to fight for their home countries. So they come here and they claim asylum. We have someone, an elected official in Utah, who's an example of that, right? So he feels like he's threatened by his home country, allegedly. I don't know if it's true or not. Claims asylum, and it's because he was not willing to make any sort of actual sacrifice for his home country. But then, you know, people in Utah are always telling me how he's going to save us from communism. I'm like, but he ran from communism when it happened to his own country. Why do you think he's going to save you from communism? He wasn't willing to do it before. He's not going to make a sacrifice for you. And it's the same thing here. Like, if you're not willing to sacrifice for the country and give the ultimate sacrifice, I don't want you here. I don't think any of us should. Like, get out. I find this exhausting. And so this was an effort by the Obama administration to try to just like naturalize as many of these legal immigrants as possible. And apparently part of the background on it is there's a lot of Muslims, when they naturalize, they actually don't want to have to fight in the military. Okay, but then why is that my problem? If you don't feel like you can fight in the US military, that's not my issue. That's a you issue, and you should go home because you're clearly you'll never be an American. And in this case, Mehdi Hassan was actually posting about how he's more of an American than other people. And all I could think is, you're actually not an American, because every other American, the ones that are born here, they could all get called up. All the men, you have to go sign that, you know, selective service when you turn 18. You could all be called up in a draft, and maybe you can have the right to do the conscientious objection because you were born here. It's different. But why would you import someone and give them the same rights as people that were born here? I just don't understand it. And I don't think he's an American. I don't think he'll ever be an American. If he couldn't take the oath, the full oath, you're not an American. You're you're basically a paperwork American. You have a piece of paper that says you are one, but it's given to you by some bureaucrat who hates America. And by the way, the federal government, full of bureaucrats like that. Okay, anyway, that got me worked up. I can't stand that type of stuff anymore. I never could, but okay. So let's talk a little bit more about this Uber driver thing, because I think this is really fascinating. So Dave kind of came on and he's talking about the economic side of this, that there are efforts, and actually the Uber thing is showing you exactly how this works. Talk about, like, Uber could be a fantastic opportunity for people. Lots of flexibility. If you can make a good, like what he was saying with the ride money, right? If you're making those higher dollar amounts on your rides, it's actually a good way to be able to supplement your income if you want to do that, make a living if you want to do that, with a lot of flexibility so that you can follow other things. Maybe you're doing it while you're building a small business. He's an author, so he's trying to make some money until he hopefully makes it big one day. He's dreaming big. We should want that. And the gig economy is supposed to be a method for doing that, but companies like Uber are actually beginning to make it difficult for people to make a living. And I think a lot of that is possible because of illegal aliens. That's exactly what it is. They're flooding the market. To the video we saw earlier from Chicago, they're getting all sorts of subsidies that Americans are not getting. They get free apartments. You're not getting that. They're getting food stamps. You're not getting that. Or you don't even know what free healthcare. They get healthcare. You're not getting that stuff. And so you're having to pay all these things that they don't have to pay. And then they don't need as much money to be able to live. So they're able to take lower wages than you are. And then they drive down your wages. They drive down your income. They make it hard for you to live. It's a direct impact on Americans. And, you know, like this is just one example of it, but let me just give an example. So, like, it's not even beyond even the economic issue. I think it's a safety issue. These are not Americans. They don't share our culture. They came here as invaders. That's what these illegal aliens are. And so you can see it. There are more and more examples of crime coming from Uber drivers. In this example that I have up, a biotech CEO he actually is suing Uber because an illegal alien driver assaulted him. And I have the video. The video is just crazy. Let me show you the video. Apparently what happened is that he so first of all, this illegal alien is from Russia. So I guess we hate Russia until they send their illegals here, and the Democrats love all the illegals because they probably register him to vote right away. He crossed our southern border on December 4th of 2022 under Biden. and then was released into the interior of the country. How do you get, he was actually at San Ysidro, so that's down in San Diego County. How do you get from San Diego to South Carolina? Good question to ask, right? That's total. South Carolina is like as far away from anything. If you're an illegal, like, why would you even want to be there? No, I'm not saying it to be offensive. You know, I've been to South Carolina, great place. But if you're an illegal alien, why would you go to South Carolina? So basically, what happens is that the Uber driver shows up. This tech CEO has a service dog, latest thing, I guess, and the guy gets upset. So here, let me show you the video, and you can see what happens, just so you get a sense. This will give you a sense of just how ridiculous it is. And the thing is, here, okay, let me play the video. Let's get some. So here, so you see the guy. So you see the guy's got his dog. The Uber driver walks up to him, headbutts him, punches him in the face, and then knocks him to the ground. The poor little dog is like traumatized. A woman runs up to the guy. I think he gets knocked out when this happens. And I just want to make it clear, someone takes a picture of the license plate. But what you need to understand is when these types of things happen, it's very dangerous because like the guy falls and hits his head. Like you can get brain damage. You got a concussion in this case. You can have serious life-altering things happen to you when these types of things happen. Okay. So what the CEO said is the man violently assaults me, leaves me effectively bleeding from my head in a parking lot, speeds off, and picks up somebody 2 minutes later. So the Russian illegal alien just leaves that, like, assaults somebody, doesn't even check to say, oh, hey, are you okay? Are you okay, dude? No, just drives off and goes and picks up somebody else. So this is like a violent person who now went and is picking up another person. Who knows what happens over there? Then he said, when I left the hospital, my account had been suspended. So his Uber account was suspended. And within 48 hours, it had been deactivated. Despite me sharing hospital records, police records, the detective's name and phone number, and images of the assault, Uber chose to effectively victim blame me and vilify me. So his name's Brian Cobell. That's the victim. He filed the lawsuit in Charleston, South Carolina last week against Uber and his driver. And this happened this year. The lawsuit alleges that Uber is responsible for the violent attack against Cobell, suggesting that, I don't know how to say this guy's last name, but it's Ulem Djiv, was not properly screened to be a driver, as his driver's license, which was revealed to be fake, was not verified for authenticity. Uber requires that a prospective driver pass a background check as well as have a valid driver's license and social security number, neither of which this guy had. Cobell said Uber has to take more accountability for its drivers. They're opening the door to mayhem. So this is like an example where Uber apparently isn't even actually doing proper background checks and proper verification that these people are here legally. And they should be held responsible for that. All employers should be held responsible for that. If you hire someone, you are responsible for making sure that they're here legally and that they can work legally. Okay, so then the next one, I've got another example for you. This is I have a friend actually tipped me off on this. Illegal aliens actually use Uber to case neighborhoods and so that they can rob houses. So here, let me give you, here we go. In this case, DoorDash, according to this article, DoorDash and Uber Eats were infiltrated by Venezuelan migrants who are illegally showing up at your door. Now let's see here, in so we've had about I guess it's 1 million Venezuelan illegals have flooded the country since Joe Biden became president. So, and what the Venezuelans do, and a lot of these actually foreigners do, is they come here, they make a fake claim for asylum, right? I'm going to be persecuted if I go back to my home country. In reality, what they're upset about is that they voted for a socialist. They didn't like the results. And so now they all want to leave. They want to come here. It's totally an economic play. And because really, if they needed asylum, they could have stopped in a number of countries on the way up and made that asylum claim, but they don't actually want asylum. They want to be in the US where it's easier to make a living. So in this case, what happened is, there's a couple of things that were interesting in here. I'm trying to see if I can find the part where it says this person says that on Facebook, people will rent out and sell their Uber Eats accounts to other people. So the migrants that are able to get the accounts, so I'll call that a migrant or an asylum seeker. Once they file the claim, they'll be given a social security number, work permit, and so they'll be able to open their account and start a Uber Eats account. And so when they do that, then part of the way that they make money is they do the deliveries, but then they also rent the account and sell it to other people who cannot do that. And so they said what's happened is that these programs or these companies have been infiltrated by Venezuelan migrants, and they illegally show up at your door. And so one of the examples I had, and I can't see it here for some reason. Hold on. This is why sometimes I screenshot the article. It's a little bit easier than me going through it like this and being like, where did I see that thing? But what happened is there was a home robbery, a residential burglary that happened in Alhambra, this is California. And according to police, a fake delivery driver walked up to a home to see if it was vacant. Once she confirmed that no one was home, she signaled to her remaining crew members to move forward with the robbery while she served as a lookout. So then the suspects jump the fence, they go inside, start grabbing stuff, and the lookout and fake delivery driver saw the cops, tried to message a friend, got arrested, and they all got arrested in that example. But in another case, there are similar burglaries have occurred in Southern California. I guess is where this is a big thing. In 2024, a Monrovia man was arrested for breaking into 4 homes in the city after posing as a delivery driver. He reportedly carried around a food bag. I guess in these 2 examples, these may not be actual Uber drivers. So let me just be clear on that. But I have seen examples and heard about examples where people are Uber Eats drivers, and part of what they're doing is going and seeing, or Uber drivers as well. But when you have someone pick you up at your home to go to the airport, for example, they know that your house is empty, and then they send people to burglarize it while you're out of town. So again, these are safety issues, and they're only exacerbated and made worse by having illegal aliens who are not loyal to the country and don't share our culture doing these jobs, because I think they see us as ATM machines. They don't have a problem. I mean, they're willing to steal your identity to get jobs. Why do you think they're not willing to come to your house and burglarize it, or do other things, other types of fraud and things like that come as part and parcel of this type of illegal immigration? I can tell you, I've seen it before, that people who come and are here illegally are willing to do all sorts of bad things because they're not here legally. So everything else is just part and parcel. There's adding to it. It's not that big of a deal. We recently had the Lyft driver in Utah who was charged with raping a woman. I don't know if people have read this one. Now, this happens also with American Uber drivers as well. But I think the likelihood is less, because here's the difference to what I was telling you about earlier. If there are people who are engaged in renting or selling their Lyft or Uber accounts to other people, they're increasing the possibility of things like this happening, where you end up with a driver who's not even the person that's actually listed on your account, showing up, picking you up, and then what would follow from that criminal wise, right? In this case, this was in September, this illegal alien, and I'm assuming he's illegal because it said he's a national of, I think, Mexico. They call him a Mexican national. He actually picked up a woman. He's a 26-year-old Mexican national. He picked up a 19-year-old and then ended up raping her. This story is weird because he said, okay, the victim said, so when they finally got in touch with the victim, she said she had very limited memory of what happened or how she got into the back seat. The victim told officers that at one point she remembers the ride stopping in what seemed to be a school parking lot so the driver could smoke a cigarette. Kind of seems weird. It was during the first stop that the victim stated she realized she needed to get home and got into the front seat of the vehicle. At this point, investigators say Segovia started acting erratically. hitting himself and yelling in Spanish. So he might be crazy. During the drive, the victim says she was terrified and asked Segovia to pull over in a random neighborhood. Oh, okay. Sounds good, Mr. Producer. Thanks. Segovia eventually convinced the victim, who had gotten out of the car, to get back inside to be taken home. During the drive, detectives said Segovia continued to drive recklessly on the roadway, swerving and continuously yelling in Spanish. The victim says she told Segovia to let her out again, and Segovia slowed down to allow her out. The victim's estimate took her about 15 minutes to walk home from where she was dropped off. When the victim was taken to the hospital for an exam, she found bruises on both her leg and her left and right legs, including a bruise to her inner right thigh. The victim also had abrasions, and the guy was actually charged with object rape, aggravated kidnapping and object rape. But these types of things, the possibility of these happening increases as you have more illegal aliens involved in this business and doing things like what I just said, because they don't actually have to have an account. They could rent it or buy it from somebody else to do it. So we need to have an overall full-scale crackdown on all employment of illegal aliens of every form. They should not be able to get any sort of work in the U.S. And if this means ICE goes and raids that little parking lot that Dave was talking about, where these Uber drivers are sitting before they loop back around to get into the airport, or ICE is going out to every single construction site in Utah, which are also full of illegal aliens. I can tell you that because I drive by the ones that drive by my house. You can tell. You could tell. And I know that there'll be some liberal white lady, that'll say that it's racist to say someone's illegal, but I can tell because, again, I've had experience dealing with family members who have immigrated here, and you can see a difference between someone who's fresh off the boat versus someone who's been here for a while. Everything about them changes. They act different. They stand different. They talk different. When there's assimilation, there's a real change in how people act when they're in America. Okay. I'm trying to think about anything else here. Okay. I want to go back to my first topic about what do we need to do to make people want to have more kids. Now, I will say, I got a comment from Adam. He said, I kind of agreed with Benny. Have the kids, the rest will work itself out. And I will just say again, I don't agree with that. I mean, look, if you want to do that, that's fine. I don't think that is persuasive to people. That's not how you persuade people. Yeah, it's a great idea to have kids. And to this point, Melanie Gates said, and I think this is interesting, my daughter doesn't want to have kids because she doesn't want to bring children into the world as evil as it is. And what have we done to actually fix that? What have we done? We have all these crazy. First of all, there's a certain portion of our population that's lost its mind. So I don't think there's I don't even know how you reach people like that. I struggle with this myself because I see all these people. I know that conservative policy is better for them, and then I'm like, but how do I convince them that that's true when we don't even have really conservative policies being implemented in Utah? How do you persuade them? How do you break them from, I just hate Trump, where it's complete Trump derangement syndrome, into, hey, you know what? We should always want to lower taxes. Taxes are too high. They're your biggest expense. So any cut to taxes is helpful to making life more affordable. We should want to get rid of every single illegal alien because it benefits your own children. You're standing at this protest with your kids. Do you care about them? Do you care about their future? Do you want them to have a successful life and be able to grab opportunities and have opportunities and be able to thrive? Or do you want them to be in a situation where they're constantly competing with foreigners for jobs and opportunities, and they're not getting them because the foreigners get the preference for the jobs? But I don't know that would be persuasive for them. I don't know. Sometimes it strikes me as they seem a little bit crazy, so I'm not really sure. Now, we talked about kind of how I think a big problem, if you want to convince people to have more kids, is the economic side of this. It's and the economic side gets to the future. Are you hopeful? Do you see a hopeful future for yourself? Do you see a hopeful future for your children? Do you think the nation is heading in the right direction? Do you think that Americans are able to actually improve their lives? And I think right now with the policies we have, the answer is no. It's no. And it won't change until we are focused on the issues that need to be focused on in order to change that. And so these are some of my suggestions about how to do this. So I would say, number one, like I said, immigration. You got to focus on the immigration issue. That means mass deportations, every single illegal alien. I really don't want to hear about your sob story. I don't care. I don't care that ICE knocked your kid over because your kid was attacking them. And oh, it's such a sob story. Don't care. I don't even want to hear it. If you're here illegally, you need to GTFO. It's time to go. You've used long enough. Get the fuck out. No, sorry. Time to go. Go home. Fix your home country. You've gotten a bunch of skills. You stole opportunities from Americans. You got a bunch of money you had never gotten. Time for you to go. That actually will lead to solving a lot of the other problems. For example, that now opens up jobs. It will cause a labor shortage. That's what we need to drive up wages. I want everybody to be able to make a good living doing all sorts of jobs that are just regular jobs. I don't want to hear from anyone anymore about how, oh, Americans don't want to do this job. Americans will do every job that you give them. When somebody says to you, Americans won't do that job, what they're actually saying to you is, Americans won't do that job for the low wage I want to pay. Your wages have to go up. Inflation has gone up. Wages haven't kept up. It is time to cause a labor shortage to bring American wages where they need to be. We should be you should be able to make it into the middle class if you're working hard and willing to go out there and get the opportunities. We need to make sure that those opportunities are there for you. First step is mass deportation. Second step is canceling the H-1B visa program. I would say cancel the student visa program, because if you actually understand that, that's just an immigration mill that goes to the universities. And really, I think we should be moving towards an immigration moratorium. We need a good 50-year one so we can absorb people that are here, meaning they need to fully assimilate into our culture and not the other way around. I'm not doing Sharia law. I'm not setting up prayer mats where you want them. I'm not playing your prayers over loudspeakers in my town. No, absolutely not. You assimilate into our culture, not the other way around. And that means you'll have to change things about your culture, how you practice things. But you came here. And if you have a problem with it, leave. With legal immigrants, if there's any legal immigrants that are here that are anti-American, I would say denaturalize, deport, get them out of here. Get them out. We're done. And so that's why you would get your that job. Like I said, labor shortage, increase in wages. People will become hopeful at that point. They'll be able to see, like, hey, you know what? There's some possibilities here. Housing prices need to come down, or they need to become affordable. So you can do that with wage increases or housing price drops. I would say I actually think it needs to be housing price drops. With right now, housing prices are being they're elevated. They're being maintained to help people like me, like middle-aged and older people, because we have homes, but they're not actually priced, I think, at where the market would have them if it was a natural market. And we need to get back to that. We need a natural market for housing so that people, it's actually like at prices that make sense. They don't make any sense right now. I would say you need to end government subsidies of everything. And let me give you an example. In this one, I posted about this week, but the federal government actually, Trump did a good thing. He cut college, the max amount allowed for colleges, I think, for law school. And they dropped it from $45,000 a year to $30,000 a year. I think that was the number. Let's see. Oh, $50,000 a year. Sorry. So it must have been, there are no limits, and they capped it at $50,000. Boom. Tuition came down. That's the reason why industries where there's government subsidies, the costs are higher to you, is because they're soaking up all the government money. And so like colleges, universities are one example. Healthcare, health insurance, the reason why it's so high is because the government is massively subsidizing it. Housing, the reason why it's so high, government is subsidizing it. You see this in Utah, it's like left and right? We're going to give developers money. We're going to give this person money. We're going to give first-time home. All of these things you do drive the price up. We need to withdraw government subsidies from everything and let prices fall to where they should be There should be big falls in prices. Again, this helps make life more affordable so that people feel like they can afford kids. If you want someone to have 4 kids, you can't be like, hey, you know what? It's going to cost you $30 for formula. Like, they're going to be like, what? And then the answer will be like, well, you should just breastfeed. What if the woman can't breastfeed? There's all sorts of things that happen that make people make these different calculations. I don't want to be the one telling you, oh, hey, you know what? The formula is too expensive. You need to breastfeed. And the woman's like, well, I can't breastfeed. Okay, well, that's too bad for you. Then just pay for the formula. I want it to be affordable so they can go and buy the formula. Let the parents make the choice. I don't need to be here lecturing you about every single aspect of this. Like, I want it all to be affordable. Everything. Like, I want you to be able to provide for your kids. Okay, and so that's kind of my view on this. That's how you do it. You need to actually focus your policy on making life more affordable for everybody. And that, by the way, one of the policies that I keep hearing is this idea that if a woman has 4 kids, you would eliminate income taxes for their lifetime, I think. And I don't support that kind of stuff because I don't actually think it gets to the root problem. The problem is that we have an income tax at all, and all taxation is theft. So what we should do is be looking for ways to cut government spending. Because what I don't want is now that woman's like, well, I want a bunch of free stuff from the government because I'm not paying for it. I would rather us actually work on cutting government spending and cutting taxes. But from what I can tell, there's not a big constituency for that in the US. So, I mean, like, I honestly thought when Trump came into office this time, he had a fantastic window to push for massive spending cuts. Because, you know, our spending is way inflated. It's gone up a ton since COVID. Because of COVID, the government used it to massively expand spending, and they haven't dropped it. And so, like, he had this opportunity. He had a golden opportunity to do it. And clearly there wasn't support for it, so it didn't happen. So we don't have, for whatever reason, we don't have a constituency that's like, you know what, we should cut spending. That would be good for America. But I think we should cut spending, massively cut spending. You know, we don't need all this stuff. It doesn't benefit. Like, people want you to think if the federal government is funding a solar plant in your area or funding, you know, some why lesbians are fat. That was a study they had money for. Or, you know, why do chickens like to eat? Like, they have the stupidest studies they have. Like, they fund that at the University of Utah. That somehow benefits me. It doesn't benefit me. You're just wasting my money. I could answer those questions without a study. So that's kind of my thing. Like, we got to cut all the spending back so we can cut taxes. Again, that's your biggest expense. Everyone's biggest expense is taxes. Cut it back so that people can have a better quality of life, so they can live a better life. And also, you don't want the government controlling all this stuff. With the healthcare piece of it, people keep talking about, oh, if the government doesn't do all these Obamacare subsidies, the individual market, the people can't afford it. And all I could think is like, wow. So you have now allowed yourself to be held hostage by government because they set up these stupid exchanges, which are clearly not even designed to work properly. And now they're now holding you hostage to their negotiations and making it so that really, like, you would want to instead have like health insurance through your employer. It's like such a weird system. It's messed up. And we want to disconnect people from government, make it like you don't want government. I don't need it. The federal government's been shut down for 20 days. Like, who cares? Keep it shut down. That's how I want people to be. Keep it shut down. Okay. Anyway, those are my things. I'm tired of hearing people just say, oh, have more babies. People should have more babies. Just have more babies. You've got to help people get there. And then I would also say this. There is a positive thing going on with more and more people being encouraged to, you know, become religious. I'll just say religious in general, but there are certain religions that I think actually encourage people to have more kids. Christianity is the top one for that. I think Islam does it too. And we should be encouraging more people to become Christians, to go down that route, and to start trying to live a more fulfilling life. And I think some of that's happening. You know, for whatever reason, some of it's happening. It's great, but we could make more of that happen, right? But if you do all these other policies, you'll also help people get there. Like, hey, I can afford things. My life is going good. Like, let's have more kids. Let's keep having babies. Like, that's what you want. No one's getting us there yet. Anyway, that's my thoughts on that. Okay, the final thing I had here is I'm kind of wondering what you guys think. They're trying to collect signatures. I had done this post saying I'm not going to sign their petition. So let me pull this up. And I know today Donald Trump Jr. came out and supported the effort by the Utah GOP, so the Utah Republican Party, to in the legislature to collect these signatures. I think they'll do two things. One, they'll allow them to reverse Prop 4. That's the one that has allowed an activist court to cancel our congressional maps and make new ones, basically. And then also it would cancel the maps that were coming out of this new special session, and I think just go back to the old maps. I think the effort is correct. I like the effort. Where I struggle with it, though, is that they didn't, like, the signature thing is a big fraud, and they haven't given us transparency for the 2024 signature petition issues with Governor Cox and Lieutenant Governor Henderson. So I kind of feel like if you're not willing to give me the transparency on that, I don't really know why I would go and sign your initiative petitions. Like, should I give you my signature and support your effort when you weren't willing to handle, I think, a much more important concern from my perspective? And so I would wonder if people disagree with me on that. I've gotten some pushback on it, which is fine. But I just wonder, like, what is the justification for saying, yes, you should go and you should still give your signature, even though the Republican Party didn't do what they needed to do to make sure that Governor Cox had 28,000 signatures, which he did not. And the fact that he didn't have them actually means that the requirement doesn't even mean anything. It's a meaningless requirement. So even here, like, they have to collect so many signatures. I don't think they have to collect them. Okay, so yeah, that's my thoughts on that. And then I guess let me go through some of these comments. I'm trying to think if I have anything else I really want to talk about. Today was very immigration heavy, but I've been worked up about this immigration stuff. It bothers me. Okay, let's see what we got. We have Eternal Saint said, hi, Goud. Hello. I keep forgetting it's happening. Yes. That's why I try to post earlier, and sometimes I get busy. Like today I was kind of busy, so I wasn't able to post, and I kind of figure out like the right time to post about the shows, right? And some of it is I'm still thinking about what I want to talk about in the show, and so I don't post because I'm like, well, I want to post like, here's what I'm going to talk about. I should probably be better about posting earlier. Melanie Yates says, falling birth rate, vax, air, food, water, 5G. That's probably some truth to that. I know with the COVID vaccines, there's been some increases in infertility issues, right? And so I think there is a connection between the two of those. And then she said, a greedy nation abandoned its own people. Is it a greedy nation or is it greedy people in power, elites? They've definitely abandoned the country. I actually think, so I lived in DC for 16 years, and one of the craziest things to me is how much people in DC hate Americans. They hate their fellow Americans. They look down on them. My friends there used to always it was shocking to me. They'd say stuff and I would be like, are you being serious right now? Like you're insulting people that live, this is our country. Like these are our countrymen. You're insulting them. They're like, they're so stupid. Like they live in like a podunk town. They're not as smart as we are. And 90% of the people in DC are somehow connected to government. They either work for the government, work for a government contractor. There's no real private business there, but they are freely and always will freely insult regular Americans. It's just wild. Let's see. We already read Adams. Melanie Yates says, the thing is, illegals are going to continue to flock to Utah because Spencer Cox and the Utah legislature did not allocate one dime towards funding cooperation with ICE enforcement, like Trump told all the states to do. In fact, they didn't even allocate anything for the 2026 budget either. This is why ICE ignores Utah and we are called the sanctuary state. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. There does seem to be a very open borders push in the state. I do think some of it is driven by powerful business interests. Some of it's also driven by, I think, the LDS Church, which tends to be a little bit more of an open borders church. I think they see it as a mechanism to be able to convert people. And I guess there's something to it, but I don't know. I actually don't know if they're converting people that are coming here from foreign countries. Like, for example, there's a lot of people from India who are here on H-1B visas. I'd like to know, have you converted any of them? Any luck? Anything? Otherwise, maybe it's not worth it, right? You know, the one other thing I was going to say is there's with the airport issue and going to that parking lot and doing enforcement efforts, the airport has an advisory board and they meet once a month. And I sent an email today because I was looking at their past agendas and I did not see a public comment period. But I emailed over there to see if there is one, because if there is one, I'd like to go and actually bring it up to the board. The board, by the way, it's got some lefties on here. I don't know all these people, but Arlen Bradshaw is a big old lefty. There's a Dirk Burton. I don't know if he is or not. Luz Escamilla. I mean, I think I might be wrong on this, but I swear she might even be a product of illegal immigration. Jonathan, I don't know, this Wang Nguyen. I don't know much about her. Victoria Petro, she can be kind of reasonable-ish. But, you know, like, so it might be worth actually going to the meeting and being like, hey, there's this parking lot. We would like you guys to send over your police force to go and check people's immigration status. We should not allow non-Americans to drive Ubers into the airport. See, the reason why I'm focused on the airport is, to Dave's point, I think it's a good way for people to make money, but also it's a control point, right? Like when people are doing kind of like point A to point B randomly all over Utah, we can't really control that. It's too hard. But if they have to actually go into the airport, you can control who goes in there. That's a great opportunity for some immigration enforcement, like phenomenal. So the meetings are at the third Wednesday of the month. So, and they're at 9 a.m. So I think third Wednesday for October is done, but the next one will be in November. I sent an email over to the contact that they had on their website. And so when I find out if there's public comment, I'll let people know, because if there is, I definitely will go. It'll be November 19th. So that'd be a good one, I think. I think that's a good way. There's different ways to try to pressure people and start to raise awareness of the issue. That's one way to do it. And I think that would be worth doing. So let's see here. Other comments. Let's see. But he gave 16 million for you. So Cox, I think she's saying, so Melanie Yates gave 16 million for Utah to be leading the nation in cloud seeding. That's a huge increase from the 200K he paid last year. Isn't that crazy? Here's the cloud seeding thing. It doesn't work. Like, we're in a drought. I almost wonder if they're seeding clouds, like if they're actually drying them out to create a drought. That should tell you how jaded I am. I was here during COVID. I have seen how government operates. It is not good. I do not trust them to actually seed our clouds to make it rain more. I actually think that they are just devious enough to go tell you that they're seeding them to get more rain and then to actually go dry them out to cause a drought. That is how bad our leadership is. Disagree Better said that was awesome. I think he's talking about the Dave Chadwick interview. Melanie, it says, Dave mentioned you were selling your books. He did. Yes, let's all. That actually made me think, maybe I'll try to bring him on. We could do like a book interview like we did for Trent Staggs, because that'd be kind of fun. That monkey book looked kind of interesting. I don't know. I'm trying to think about a monkey that grants wishes. Anyway. Okay. Tracy says, yes, America first. And that doesn't mean elitists who need their slaves for their companies. Word of that. Lots of that going around. I'm hoping that normal people are beginning to wake up, right? Let's wake up. Let's take care of this. And then Disagree, but I already read this, but he said, start with Monkey. That's the Dave Chadwick's book, Monkey. You get it on Amazon. I laughed out loud a couple of times with that one. That's good. That's good. Okay. I don't think I really have anything else to talk about. So let me just see if I have anything else. That's all I got. Anyway, it's been a pleasure. If we have 5 minutes, I might just end a little early today. Remember, it is election season. So get your ballots in by, I think it's Tuesday, November 4th. I think you have until 8 p.m. If I always recommend that people go and vote in person. I think it is better. You show your ID and you actually, they know that you are you. And I think there's also less of a chance that there is no chance that you'll have to have your identity verified later on, or that your ballot can be adjudicated or duplicated. Okay, so like it takes out those things. I understand some people have issues with the electronic voting. Totally get that. So I'm not arguing with you on that. I'm just saying that when you kind of weigh these, I actually like the in-person voting better. If you're going to use a mail ballot, I always recommend using a ballot drop box. Do not put it in the mail. The mail is not safe. You're making it so more people will touch your ballot. Better to go put it in the drop box that is controlled by your county clerk. That means only county clerk employees will touch it. You have now reduced the chances of spoliation or other issues with your ballot. So remember, get those ballots in, do your research. I will try to, I'll contact the mayoral candidates in Riverton, see if they'll come on next week to see if we can ask them some questions. Let's see where they're going, right? The race is really interesting because, like I said, it's hot, but it's not. So I'm just kind of confused about what's going on exactly and how people are feeling. Finally, this has been the Goud Crowd. We're on every Monday from 5 to 7 p.m. You can listen to us at X on my handle at Goud for Utah. And then also on X, YouTube, and Rumble at the Utah Main Street Media handle. You can also follow me on X if you haven't. I do a lot of activity on there. And we will see you next